Today we're gonna be assembling this vert. This is my E36 Cabrio. It's a 5-speed 2.5 liter. What we're gonna be installing today is a solid mount shifter. This solid mount shifter runs around like 250 bucks online. It comes with everything you need. It comes with the actual shifter itself, new linkage, the new shifter carrier, and there's new pins. With this shifter setup, what you basically want to do is upgrade your transmission bushings. And right here, we have some solid mount transmission bushings that we're going to be going right here, replacing the stock ones. One of them is broken and the other one, well, it's borderline going out. Either way, it just has to be replaced to run this type of setup, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Also going to be installing a brand new slave cylinder since the one that I had in there broke. That's the slave cylinder rod that basically came out of the other one, and this is the new one. And the one that was in there was basically missing this, and what that did, it basically wore out the old carrier for the throwout bearing. What that means basically is metal contact will actually create friction, and obviously it's gonna start wearing it out, and that's exactly what happened here. It started having metal contact, and then the slave cylinder rod went straight through the cast iron throwout bearing carrier. So the shaft went through the carrier, it went through it all the way, hit the flywheel, bent it, so that's toast. The flywheel, thankfully, it's in good condition, but right here we have our new replacement. This is what's gonna be replacing this. It's a brand new part. So that's the old shifter that came out of this car. So this is the pivot point for the throwout bearing carrier, and this will be replaced by this brass piece. So we have a brand new brass piece going in there, preventing it from breaking in the future. Either way, this one's in okay condition, but you can tell it's kind of worn out from one side. So we're taking some prevention here, and we're actually going to be replacing it with a new one. I should be replacing my throwout bearing because the transmission is already out, but there's a brand new clutch in there, so I believe that throwout bearing has very low miles on it, and for now it doesn't make any noise or anything. So I'm going to be putting the old throwout bearing back in it. Another thing I'm going to be replacing is the flex joint for the drive shaft. As you can tell, this one is in horrible condition. It's starting to tear apart, and thankfully it has not yet, but we got a new one. So we're going to be installing it today. This thing's made in Germany. Make sure you get the original ones, because I've seen eBay ones that literally shred apart in weeks. So this is a great replacement for this OEM part, and that's also going to be replaced tonight. So what we're going to be doing right now is cleaning the transmission before we put it back in. So I sprayed some engine degreaser foam, and what we're going to be doing is kind of brushing all this off. As you can tell, there's a big difference between the dirty part and the clean part. So ideally we want to get this thing as clean as possible, and then fill the transmission up with fluid and put the transmission back into the vehicle. That's basically what we're going to be doing today, along with the shifter install. The shifter goes right there. The shifter goes installed right here, and we have every single piece that we would want to make this thing basically like new. So I'm really excited. This is going to be great. This car is going to feel completely different to drive with this new shifter setup. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to work. This is gonna be a long process, and I kind of want to sleep early today. It's almost 12, so we're probably gonna be going to sleep quite late, but who cares? I want this car running by tomorrow. So let's get to it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start upgrading these parts. right, so as you can see, we have our new solid mount shifter fully installed now. So what I basically had to do was remove this front bushing out of this carrier arm and replace it with the bushings that were included. The problem that I had was they were too wide, so I could not fit them into this piece up here. So a solution for that was literally just to sand them down on each side evenly, eventually for them to go in smoothly. Another thing I had to do is sand down the bushings from this rod right here, and that hooked up to this stock one, and it had bushings in it. So I literally just sanded them down out the sides, so it was straight metal to metal, and that seemed to work. So I was able to slide it in no problem, and now this thing sounds sick. This is literally the best shifter I've ever felt. Obviously a chassis mount would be way different and a lot better, but this is as best as gonna get kind of a stock feel for the car. So right here we have reverse, that's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So this thing feels great. All the gears going quite smoothly. So the problem that I have right now is basically my transmission in the inside has a spring, and that's what gives you your throw back to your center. But on my fifth side, I have nothing. So my shifter might just lean into fifth whenever it's just in neutral, but it'll lean towards fifth, but it won't go in unless I push it in, obviously. So I'm pretty happy with the results. To fix that problem going into fifth, I believe I have to take apart the transmission and change one of the springs that kind of recoils it back straight in the middle, right in front of third and fourth. So I'm really happy with the results. So what we're gonna do is take this off. Taking this off allows us to put everything back into the car. Once the transmission is fully in, we could screw it on from the top, and we'll have our new shifter fully installed. So the other thing that goes on here, obviously, is this rear bushing. This bushing has a casing on it, but I removed it. So what you get with this is basically, not that, obviously, but you put in this bushing that comes with your kit. Once this is put into the car, this should close up quite firmly around it, and you should be good to go. So that's basically it for this shifter. It comes with everything that you actually need to install it if you buy the whole kit, and this one came with basically everything that I needed. This thing's solid. I'm really excited to put it in. And so what I have to do to the transmission, I wish I would have cleaned it, but honestly I'm out of time. I cleaned the inside of this so it looks a lot better. So what we're going to be replacing here is this plastic fitting that kind of holds the throw-up bearing fork in place, and that goes right in there, and along with this clip, and that clip holds your fork. And literally that's it for in here, other than the throw-up bearing, and the throw-up bearing goes on this carrier. Once this is all complete, we can slide the transmission back underneath the car, and once that's all in, we're gonna flip the transmission on its side. We're gonna take off the fill plug for the fluid, and we're gonna put fluid back into the transmission, so we have the transmission full of oil to be put back in. Other than that, I believe that's it, and we're basically ready to start working on the car. Let's get to it. alive once again. So obviously you guys never saw it run, but here it is. It runs, it moves on its own power. It's dirty as heck because there's white and I was working with grease, and obviously I touched it, so great. I gotta wash it. Either way, it hasn't been washed in, who knows, probably a year since I last sold it. The guy drove it, put it in his garage. I I doubt he washed it ever. So I mean, here it is, finally running again. This thing's so cool. I love this car so much. Super stoked. So basically gotta let it warm up. It was missing a little bit of water, which is fine. I mean, I have the whole mission motor radiator set up to put in here, so nothing to worry about. But we got the black headlights back on it, and these were the original headlights I bought the vehicle with the first time, and they have kind of like the crappy eBay halos. Looks pretty sick, not gonna lie, can't complain. Yellow bulbs missing on this side. It flew off on the highway the other day, but who cares, just front blinker. Either way, I gotta buy the actual connector because the connector flew off, so there's that. But yeah, I gotta come back and clean this shop. It's a mess, but I have to go to work. I haven't slept, I'm tired. I've been awake for like 24 hours already, probably more at this point. And yeah, super stoked to drive this thing. This shifter is gonna be sick. It already feels super good. There's no boot for the shifter currently. I don't know where I left it. I know I had it somewhere, but I really don't know where it went. There's this one, but this one doesn't even fit, so. Oh, there's parts in the back. Yep, there is. So we got solid bushings, and this is the original shifter boot. And all these are subframe bushings. These have to be the motor mounts, I'm guessing. But other than that, I really hope this shifter has no issues since I didn't put solid motor mounts. I know you have to put the solid transmission mounts, which I installed. So I really hope that's it and I have zero issues with it shifting, but oh well. If it does, then something I'm gonna have to take care of. Just put it back on the jack stands and mess with it. But I gotta charge my phone. That thing's like dead.